Kevin Sheehan's host of the Kevin Sheehan Show on the Team 980 after us. What's up, Kevin?
What's up, boys?
Yeah,
What's
how much
up,
of that
Kevin?
conversation were you having last week about the Cliff slump in the second half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, we actually had everybody's been talking about it, but I think, you guys probably talked about it as well. It's kind of been debunked a little bit. It was more about, his team's defenses and injuries more than it was about the offense. So at least we can put that to the side for at least 2 weeks.
Well, one of the things that, like, I saw Dan Orlovsky talk about it, is that he said that the offense was becoming predictable. And though it's a minor thing and it seems like a goofy thing, the whole Terry lining up on the left side, first play of the game, they line him up on the right. So it wasn't that different. EB pointed out the numbers that it was only like 3 or 4 more snaps on the right side than usual. But at least he shook that up a little bit.
Yeah, I think we get wrapped up into that and the, versus just the production against two excellent defensive teams in Pittsburgh and Philly. I mean, let's face it. I mean, Philly has shut everybody down, including Baltimore yesterday. Pittsburgh's done it to a lot of teams as well. Last week was the first egg they laid, all season long. And it was legitimate reason to be concerned. But I think the Cliff thing just, again, I'm sure most of you guys have talked about it now. Barnwell did a great job on ESPN last week, just going back and looking at the Texas Tech teams and the Cardinal teams. And you're talking defensive fall-offs much more so than offensive fall-offs, and injuries to players like Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. So there was a lot of that involved. I don't know. Cliff has been considered by everybody who's ever known him to be a really sharp offensive mind, great quarterback guy. You just, I heard you guys coming in talking about points per game. They just shredded one of the better defenses this season in the NFL, the number one third down defense in the NFL. They were 9 for 14. Now, a lot of them were third and shorts, but I thought it was, not only a good win and a necessary win, but it felt good to watch that offense get back to where it was in the first 9 games.
Yeah, Kevin, coming into the week, I fell into the trap of, Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons are doing a good job of shutting down the opposing team's rushing attack. So I thought that might be a real hurdle for them. It wasn't. They go for over 260 rushing yards in what was just a laugher when you looked at the rushing yards from the Commanders compared to the Titans. They just established their will early, and that was the biggest offensive mainstay of the game.
Yeah, and it wasn't fake. I mean, Joe Mixon had 22 yards on 14 carries last week. Their biggest issue all year long has been just self-destructive kind of turnovers and penalties and special teams plays, et cetera. And they weren't completely healthy. You had Cornelius Lucas starting at right tackle. So it's good vibes going into the bye week, because if they had sneaked by 13-10, I don't think I'd feel the way I feel today. It's like we saw what they were capable of in the first 9 games, and then there was, all of the ridiculous sort of debunked Cliff talk, but also just the quarterback hitting the rookie wall. All of that was coming into play, and it's like, no, they actually are very capable offensively, and they showed it yesterday.
Talking to Kevin Sheehan from the Kevin Sheehan Show on the Team 980. I'm going to make you the GM of the Commanders.
Ooh, that's a pay bump. Unless
kicker.
You're getting
You're going to ask me about the kicker.
Absolutely. We addressed it earlier. We've got different opinions. What does GM Kevin Sheehan do?
I don't know. You got to bring guys in, don't you?
Yes.
What if Baltimore unloaded Justin Tucker?
I brought that up hypothetically.
But that's not going to happen, though.
He's already said he's not going to.
I don't think so, but I mean, my God, the dude has the yips right now. You've got to look. I mean, look, it's not, it was a 46-yarder and a 50-yarder, I think, 51-yarder, something like that.
Yeah.
And I actually think
they're not gimmies.
No, but in the NFL, almost anything under 50 is like a gimme in this day and age.
I mean,
although there have been a lot of missed field goals recently. I don't know. I think you got to look. You have to look.
Guy wasn't working for the last couple of seasons.
It's
not like he has this great resume.
But Kevin, we've also talked about this. They had horrible luck with the McManus situation because he was going to be their guy. Yeah. And I understand why the team had to make the decision to cut him. I get it. But it turned out to be a fraudulent report or a charge. So he goes to Green Bay. He had missed a kick.
I know.
I mean, that would have been your guy
yesterday. Nearly set the NFL record. He had a 68-yarder on the final play, and it was like a half yard to a yard short. It seems like so many kickers over the years, whether it's Hopkins or I don't know, they always go somewhere else and kick well. They should be looking. I mean, if you're the GM, to answer the question, you're always looking when you have a problem at that position, and right now it's an issue.
Yeah. All right. So how are you feeling now? 8-5. They're the 7th team. They're the last wild card.
See North winner. Let's just assume it's Detroit. The team that you've got to chase down for the 6th seed is the Packers, and you would win. Washington would win a tiebreaker against Green Bay based on the conference record. This is a little bit ahead of ourselves, I understand, but I was just looking at the tiebreakers in the conference record. If Green Bay, they still have Seattle, Detroit, and Minnesota on the road.
And the Lions this week.
If you can make a run to get to the 6th seed or to tie Green Bay, you got to root against Green Bay the rest of the way. Then you go to Seattle or Atlanta or Tampa or Arizona, and you got a shot. Because right now, Philly and Detroit really do look head over the rest of the conference.
Yeah, Green Bay, short week this week. They play Detroit, and then they play, like you said, they play Seattle on the road, and they still got to play Minnesota. Wow.
Yeah, so that's the team that, anybody chasing that 7 also has to think about the 6. But ahead of ourselves, yeah, of course. Win 2-10 is a lock. With their conference record, I think that it would be a lock.
But you know what I'm nervous about? Just being a diehard, and I know you are too, Kev, I think, that we've been through this before. We've been part of all the swoons, the week to week. You never know what you're going to get. So I'm nervous. We had the 10 days before the Cowboy game, and frankly, in my opinion, it appeared we came out flat. I'm sure the guys tried, but whatever. Now we're going to have 2 weeks. We're going to get healthier, going to get Lattimore back. Like on paper, everything looks great, but how do we avoid what looks so terrible against the Cowboys? You know what I mean? I don't know. This is my paranoia.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think any of the games the rest of the way are going to be easy. I mean, they'll only be a short favorite at New Orleans. They'll be an underdog at home against Philly. The Falcons right now are in free fall. And then who knows what Dallas will be playing for in that season finale. But I'm with you. It's like I really think they're led by their offense. I understand the defense had a great day yesterday. It was also the score got sideways after the 2 turnovers, and Tennessee never had a chance to run the football. I still think they are vulnerable against the run, and that's still my concern the rest of the way. But offensively, that's their calling card. If they can do what they did yesterday, stay on the field on 3rd downs, they've got a dynamic quarterback. They've got a run game when they're healthy, for sure, with Brian Robinson Jr., and they've got a star as their number 1 wide receiver. They can, they should be able to win 2 of these final 4.
Even though he hasn't been super productive, like breakout productive.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to tell you. I'm because kind of setting it up. And we've been waiting for this for years. But, man, it seems to me this year more than others, when Dami gets an opportunity, he's taking advantage. Why doesn't he get more opportunities?
I love that. I think you're seeing them realize he's got a burst, he's got speed, he's got playmaking ability, and it looks like they're trying to target him a little bit more. He's the one that's been involved in fly sweeps and jet sweeps and reverses. And I'm with you. I think he's a weapon with that speed and playmaking ability. So, and I also think yesterday we saw for the first, but I think, you heard Quinn after the game just talk about Wagner, talk about Ertz. I know he feels the same way about Eckler, even though he's out. These are the guys that they brought in to kind of set, the thing that we don't really identify with as much as they understand, and that's that whole culture thing. And when they get into this 3-game losing skid, facing adversity with guys that understand how to get you out of it. And I'm with you. Like, I know a lot of the fans are like, Ertz can't gain a yard after he catches the ball, but he's 6'6". He's a huge target, and Jaden loves him.
And look, if he's throwing it to him in the end zone, he doesn't have to gain another yard. He's already there.
Kevin, not sure what your plans were on Thanksgiving. I assume you watched some of these games. What was your thought on the Eberflus gaffe, not calling the timeout with 33 seconds left?
It's one of the worst ever. I mean, it was truly amazing that, the strategy of not banging the timeout right away isn't the worst strategy, but you got to be prepared to get up quickly and run another play and get the yards and then call the timeout to kick the field goal. Caleb actually, he deserves some of the blame. He's a quarterback, for crying out loud. I understand he's a rookie and he's got a lot on his plate, but once he tried to check out of the play that got called in, can't do that with the clock rolling down. But he's so clueless, Eberflus has been after the fact, that to me, that's the fireable offense, is that he didn't realize that 13-yard throw to Terry before the Hail Mary was significant.
I brought that up before.
Yeah.
And then, to not understand and to call the handling of it correct on Thanksgiving Day, somebody that clueless shouldn't be, the number one kind of decision maker on the football field on game day. So I know I don't think they've ever fired a coach in season, but I can't imagine anybody had any faith in him after that.
Kevin, great stuff, man. Have a great show.
All right, guys.